Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom, shalom, shalom. Live on location out here at the lake. Another beautiful day that Yahuwah has made. Giving all praise, all honor, all glory, all kavod to Him, our Creator, Eluah of our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. His only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who is our kinsman redeemer, who is Adoni, by way of the Ruach HaKodesh, who is our guide, our comfort, lead us in all truth, brings all things to remembrance, and provides a way of escape in the time and in the hour of sin and the temptation of sin. So all praises for His creation, the beautiful green trees, the beautiful water. Man may say one thing, but it's all His. It's all Yahuwah's. At the end of the day, He created it. He made it with this. He spoke it into existence. Look at this scenery, man. It's beautiful. So all praise for that. Just want to come on real quick. With you guys, chosen conversations, man. Chosen conversations. Depression. Gotta have a quick conversation about that. We have a tendency to overlook it and not talk about it and not want to talk about it, but we have to start having a conversation about depression, especially in our community, especially in our men, our leaders, our fathers, our dads, that being raised in the hoods and the ghettos across America is traumatizing. You know, we were all born and raised in some parts of America. Traumatizing experience of going to school, having to face oppression and at school for your skin color, and not being included into society as we should, as our ancestors built this very country, built the foundation. You know what I'm saying? That's a trauma from not having an identity, from your identity being stolen. That's a trauma. You know what I'm saying? You know, we have to be vigilant, and we're still here. And that's what's baffling people, is that how are these people still here? How are they, not only are they surviving, but they're starting to thrive. They're starting to thrive. You know what I'm saying? Even though they've been oppressed, even though they have been looked down upon, even though, as the word says, we'll be a nation not desired. Nobody will desire us. Nobody will want us. They want our culture. They over in Tokyo, Japan right now with Adidas on, pop locking and rapping. But when it comes to having our backs, it's non-existent. We got every ethnicity. Bollywood, India. Over there in India, they got a acting section, just like Hollywood. It's called Bollywood. What they doing? They implementing black culture, but with their own twist to it, so they can claim it, so they can have a culture. But when it comes to having our backs, it's non-existent. See what I'm saying? So that's depressing. When you see that, if you don't know the truth, if you don't know the word, if you don't have the word in you, that's depressing. That will traumatize, that will implement and implant a stain in your brain that will last for a long time. And see, now our men that's my age and a little older, between the ages of 35 and 65, that 30-year gap, we're going through it right now. We're feeling it. We're feeling that pain of knowing that, we were oppressed for a long time. So what does that look like? Watch this small video clip and we'll be right back.
Oppression doesn't have a look. I've seen people have everything in the world and go home and take their life. You said, well, he was such a nice guy. He had everything.
Yeah.
It's the internal warfare and battles that you can't see.
Wow.
Think about it. Life is one big masquerade party. Everybody's wearing a mask.
Right.
Everybody's masking something.
Yeah.
I was masking the fact that I didn't know who I was as a man. If I had a helmet on, I was cool. But without the helmet on, I can be around brothers like you and I can feel some type of way because I didn't really have an awareness or a sense of identity. Think about that. When you don't know who you are, you show up with the question and you show up with a blank piece of paper and you're waiting for somebody to write down who you are.
So you see that? It's crazy, right? The young man was talking about it's internal, it's spiritual, right? Oh, snap. Thing is moving. It's all internal, it's spiritual. You know, so the internal warfare, you don't really see it. If you're not truly paying attention, you're not going to see it. But what are those things men hold in? Because we're taught we can't cry and we necessarily can't get emotional, and we shouldn't be emotional to the point to where we're making decisions out of our emotions, mistreating somebody because we're mad and upset about something. Men, we shouldn't do that. And we have to work on that. That's something that has to stop in our community as men. We cannot get emotional. We have emotions, but men, we are the normal logic, reasoning, the loyalty behind our decisions. That's an example. Look at Mashiach. He had internal feelings, but he didn't make his decisions off of those feelings. He of course, you don't think he wanted to go and save Yehukanan the Immerser out of prison? Probably knowing they're gonna torture this man or do something to this man, and later on, what happened? He got his head, he was beheaded, put on a platter. So what kind of culture, what oppression was happening then that allowed a young teenager or a young lady where the king said, give me, I'll give you anything you want for your birthday? What would make her say, not some jewelry, not some clothes, purple linen was precious, especially in those days. She didn't want a purple robe or crown or money. She wanted the head of a man on a platter. What was in her heart? What's got to be in your heart? Think about that. See, we go over these scriptures and we don't internalize, we don't rationalize them. We just, that we've been hooped and hollered and the head of the man, the holy man. All these theatrics, and the organ hit, we run around the church, we dance, we take the last money out of our pocket, lay it on the altar, fall out, roll around on the floor, shout, go home, steal, next day at work, we fall. Get mad at the very first thing, we late for work, and get mad at the boss for getting on us by being late. That's oppression. That's a mindset. So getting back to what I was saying, what does depression look like? You don't think Mashiach wanted to get Yehukanan, but he could have made a decision out of his emotions. A lot of the people around him wanted for him to do that. Go read the book of remembrance and go read that account. It was like, Yahusha, man, why you ain't going to get your cousin? How dare you leave him in there? Even Yehukanan the Immerser himself. Are you the one? Are you the light? Because you could dispatch Malachim at the snap of a finger at the whim of a prayer, but I'm still sitting in this prison cell. Are you the one? You see that? Emotion. We can't do that. So, once again, we have to have a strong prayer life, and we have to be able to read the word and apply it to our lives daily, in a practical sense. You see what I'm saying? That's how it works. Internal warfare, spiritual warfare. How do we overcome that? How do we do that? Wealthy men, wealthy men have a lot of money, a lot of fame, a lot of fortune. When that dust settles and you're in that room by yourself, what are you thinking about? What's the internal, what's your mindset? What's in your heart? Was it worth it building this wealth, materializing, living in the lust of the flesh, and now you got everything at your fingertips, but you still have these dealings internally? The quiet things, the things that we don't want to talk about. How does that look? What does it look like? And we have to start talking about these things. Because if we don't talk about it to each other as men, I got Ox now. I can call right now. And they're available. And I love these brothers because of the men they are. Not necessarily, of course, their music and their artistry is unmatched. Yahuwah has gave them a gift to where they can minister and portray the word in such an artistic form that, man, it just, the healing and deliverance and restoration that comes from their music is just, you can't even describe it. But before that, they were men. They're husbands, they're fathers, they are dads, they are somebody's brother, they're somebody's nephew. How did they deal with things that they think about that's true to their heart? Did they get emotional and make an emotional decision? Or did they logic, reason with someone and talk? I tell my children all the time, you could probably take half of the prison population right now and ask them, will they pull that trigger? Will they squeeze that trigger or swing that knife again? And they will probably tell you no. If they would have just took a deep breath over that dice game, over the card game, over some type of narcotics or money or women or men, their friendship to someone, their relationships, if they would have just took a deep breath over a video game and just thought about it and rationalized that decision and went to a logic and reasonable standpoint, they would still be out of prison and that person that's no longer here would still be here. But they made an emotional decision. How many people are gone right now? Got friends now that are not here because somebody else acted out, a man acted out of their emotion. He got emotional. Think about that. Let that sink in for 5 seconds. Somebody got emotional. And that other person is no longer here because you acted out of an emotion. You had internal conflict, spiritual conflict on the inside. Remember, I always talk about 1 Thessalonians 5:23. Paul was talking about the ruach, soul, and body. The three things, the three beings that make up one being. Your ruach is the very eternal, the very image of Yahuwah, the creator. He is eternal. He will be here forever. And guess what? Your ruach or your spirit will be here forever. Maybe not here in this realm, the natural realm, but it will never go away. The likeness. Adam became a living what? Soul. Your mind, your will, and your emotions, your conscience and your subconscious. And then your body, your earthly shell, your flesh, your nose, your lips, your face, beard, neck, head. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. He said, may Yahuwah Shalom bless you wholly. That whole, your W-H-O-L-L-Y, your whole being in ruach, soul, and body. To be preserved blameless unto the coming of Mashiach. your flesh will actually glow from what's on the inside, from how you think, how you feel. Love thy neighbor as thyself. You wouldn't lie to yourself, so why lie to your neighbor? Think about it. See, these things we like I said, we glossed over them because we've been hooped and hollered for so long. These topics, we learned them in a setting where it was just theatrics instead of being an institution to learn from. That's what the church was supposed to be. And long ago, it was starting to be that. That's why they were being bombed back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Back in those, we just talked about on the podcast, Lake Lanier, Oscarville, Georgia. It is a town. They put water on top of a town that was burnt down. A black community, so-called black community. 100-something landowners. It was 1,000 residents, and 10 to 20% of those residents were landowners. So 10% of 1,000 is 100 on farmland. We had agriculture. And now you got water on top of that city that was burnt down. And that's why a lot of us migrated to Atlanta to run from Forsyth County, which Lake Lanier and Oscarville is there, right beside Dawson County. That's depression. That's what, on the outside, that's what depression looks like, when something is taken from you and forced out of your hand that's yours. And we internalized it and look at the traumas from stuff like that we still hear, but look at some of the traumas that came out of that, harming each other. Now, yes, we have to take accountability, not blaming it on someone. I'm saying that's a trauma. That's depression internalized. That's holding it up. If you light a firecracker and put it in a glass bottle, how many seconds, a minute or seconds, it's going to explode. And when it explodes, the glass is going to go everywhere. You see what I'm saying? So we have to talk about these things, and we have to understand what it means, man. Right? We have to talk about this stuff. So yeah, it's chosen conversations. Many are called, but few are chosen. Everybody, unfortunately, can't have this conversation and feel, it'll make you uncomfortable. But you have to, at some point, you have to say, we got to get comfortable and talk about it. Whether we're comfortable or not, we have to choose and talk about it. Right? So yeah, spiritual warfare. What's going on inside of us that we have to learn how to cope, deal with it, talk about it. And it can't come out as hurt. And we can't get emotional about it. We can't hurt people. We can't lie to others. We won't lie to ourselves. Like I said, the institution of learning, churches were starting to be that. And they had to get rid of them. And had to scare you, and had to oppress you, so you wouldn't be learning about these things, having these conversations. Instead, it was theatrics, hooping and hollering and yelling at somebody with a microphone for 2-3 hours, and we shout and get emotional and go home. Didn't learn anything. So the plan worked. If you don't want anyone to know their history and what they've been through and why they're in it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, family, just wanted to have that conversation, man. I'm about to get out of here. Love you guys. Some great stuff coming up. All praises to the Most High for that. The blessings that He is bestowing on the house of Ayod spiritually. It's just we are blessed, man. If I had 1,000,000 tongues, I wouldn't be able to give enough praise and worship to the Most High, Yahuwah, the Creator. But with what He gave me and what I do have, Praise him for life. New single on the way, Praise Report, featuring my guy, my op, Mr. Zakaria Banayahu. Great brother in Yahuwah, man. He's on the track. The track was produced by Grammy nominee Mr. Tone Jones. Tone Jones credits Wale, Lecrae, Migos, my goodness, Kanye West, you name it. He is produced. Been in the industry for a long time, and this brother is a great man. So had to get here, had to get a track from him, and more on the way. So yeah, guys, y'all stay tuned, man. We're gonna continue to lift up the name and edify the name of the Most High in the name of His only begotten, Yahushua HaMashiach. And once again, internal warfare, spiritual, it's all spiritual. Remember that. Remember that it is spiritual. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. Don't let that be a cliche in your mind. Really let it sink in and think about it and meditate on what that means in your life. Okay? Think about what that means. Think about what it says to someone. Okay? Stay blessed, be blessed, stay tuned. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Stay tuned, family. Once again, we got a lot of great righteous content on the way. Continue to lift up the name of the Most High, and we will see you guys soon. We love you. Take care. May the Most High bless you. Peace, blessings, and love multiplied unto you. Shalom.